Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to have the last part of chapter 3 on اصالة الوجود. This discussion is very important discussion in understanding transcendent philosophy. Many times when we studied فلسفه مقدماتی or بداية الحكمة, we had this idea that according to Mulla Sadra, instead of امکان ذاتی for ماهیه, essential contingency for the quiddities, it's better and it is more loyal to اصالة الوجود to approach it through poverty of معلول, poverty of existence of معلول. Although you can still use arguments which are related to mahiyya, they are not wrong. You can still use امکان ماهوی etc. But according to اصالة الوجود, it's better if we focus our argument on the main thing, which is being, which is real, which is outside. Okay? Many times we have talked about this. Anyway, now let us study this point based on this book. So this is another level and another, case of studying this point. Since according to Mulla Sadra, we say wujud is primordial, and we say that what is existing outside is not really mahiyya, and it is majaz dar isnad, it's a kind of metaphoric language. So now Mulla Sadra has to deal with a kind of problem. It's not really a problem for Mulla Sadra, but what he has inherited from philosophers, now he has to make it consistent. Let us list what other philosophers said before him and see how Mulla Sadra deals with them according to اصالة الوجود. For them, according to اصالة الماهية, these are okay, but for Mulla Sadra, no. So, 1. From philosophical perspective, there is no doubt that many things which exist outside are ma'lul. They are effects. We don't say everything is effect. We have wajib al-wujud also. And right now we don't want to say one or more, but we know that outside we have ma'lul. Many things are effects. We believe there is one, uncaused reality. But at the time being, our focus is on just to say, definitely there are effects, there are created things. Number 1. Number 2, the relation between cause and effect is the relation between realities. It's not between concepts. Concept of insan doesn't need illa. Concept of insan is there even before creation. Concept of insan. We had this when we studied philosophy, some of you, that ما جعل الله المشمشة مشمشة بل أوجدها. Allah doesn't make, for example, apricot or apple. Allah gives existence to them. Otherwise, mahiyya of apple, mahiyya of apricot, mahiyya of peach, or mahiyya of insan, they are not created. They are there in their own nafs al-amr. So, relation between cause and effect is a real thing. But mahiyya is not a real thing. So realities are ma'lul and illah. Number 3. This is in need of a little attention. We had this also in Bidayah. Realities outside واقعيات خارجي, they exist. They are realities. Reality is reality. Reality cannot be معدوم. In which sense? In the sense of ضرورت بشرط المحمول. Is موجود or not? Yes. Of course. How it became موجود is another point. But موجود is موجود. موجود is not possible to be معدوم. Okay? So this is the third point. Number 4. The criterion for poverty or need of ma'lul for Allah is imkan zati. Yeah? Before Mulla Sadra, this was said. ما هي إلة حاجة المعلول إلى العلة? Some people said حدوث, but philosophers say no, imkan. Maybe something. Of course, every hadith needs illah, but maybe something is not hadith and still is in need of illah, is ma'lul. خب, Mulla Sadra has to deal with these 4 and must, question at least one of these 4, because otherwise it would put him in the same direction as previous people. But he wants to be loyal to اصالة الوجود. To say that many things outside are ma'lul, are effect, it's okay. So he leaves it, remain. To say causal relation between cause and effect, this is existential, this is a relation between real things, he leaves also this in place. This is number 2. To say that واقعیت خارجی, real external realities are موجود بشرط المحمول ضرورتاً, again is correct. The only thing that he can disagree is to say that this reality, which is reality بشرط المحمول, is it of the type that exists by itself, or it exists by the cause? In other words, ضرورت is there, but is it واجب الوجود بالذات or واجب الوجود بالغير? So Mulla Sadra says وجود المعلول explains the need, not امکان ذات. It's not wrong, I repeat, it's not wrong. You can still argue that because this thing is mumkin, and mumkin is in need of illah either for this side or that side, because متساوٍ نسبة إلى الوجود والعدم, has equal relation with existence and non-existence. If it exists, it's because of something outside. If it doesn't exist, again because of something outside. Even Adam needs dalil and illah, both cause and reason. خب, there is no problem. You can still use that language. But if you want to be more loyal and closer to asalatul wujud, so we say realities, beings which are outside, sometimes are self-subsistent and self-sufficient, and this is wajib al-wujud bil-dhat. And sometimes the reality is different. We are not talking about imkan wujud, imkan zati for my. We say the reality of this ma'lul is poor, is totally dependent. This is faqr wujudi. This is existential poverty. And if you want to use imkan, instead of saying imkan zati, you can say imkan wujudi. امکان ذاتی is suitable for ماهیه. امکان وجودی, existential contingency, or you can say امکان فقری is a matter of poverty. معلول, according to Mulla Sadra, is totally dependent, or you can say it's a relation, is ayn or rabt, it's belonging, it's not separate, it's not independent from cause. So Mulla Sadra is not accepting the fourth, and it says that al-ma'lulu zatun hiya rabt ila al-illa. So ma'lul essentially, existentially, is ayn rabt, is the same as belonging to illa, to the cause. So poverty is not separable from وجود المعلول. نتیجه این که واقعیت خارجی و حقیقت وجود معلول. The conclusion is this, that external reality and the reality of caused existence در عین اینکه ذاتاً منافی عدم و ضروری الوجود است. This reality essentially is in contradiction with non-existence. But it is ضرورت به شرط محمول, of course, be careful. Essentially cannot be non-existent, yes. But also essentially is in need of illa. So he says, در عین اینکه ذاتاً منافی عدم و ضروری الوجود است. So it's منافی عدم number one and ضروری الوجود number two. الشیء ما لم یجب لم یوجد plus کل موجود موجود بالضروره. We have وجود بالغیر and also we have وجود as بالقياس إلى الغير. So both of them can be used here, but it is different from وجود بشرط المحمول, which again can be used here. در عین اینکه ذاتاً منافی عدم و ضروری الوجود است، ذاتاً عین وابستگی و ربط به علت فاعلی است. So, for example, this flower, there's a flower. This flower, on the one hand, you cannot say this flower doesn't exist. This flower must exist. It's wujud. Wujud is different from Adam. Wujud is essentially different from Adam. So this flower is a reality. But also, this flower is totally dependent on its cause. اگر بخواهیم اصطلاحی کوتاه و رسا را جایگزین کنیم، جایگزین عبارت کنیم. If you want to use some philosophical terminology which can make it very simple and easy to explain, we can say in this way. وجود معلول واجب بالغیر است. Or maybe Sheikh Ubudiyat could also use ضرورت به شرط المحمول as he said before. Because when he was explaining those 4 points, he said واقعیات خارجی ضروری الوجود و منافی عدمند. He didn't say ضرورت به شرط المحمول, but that was more suggesting ضرورت به شرط المحمول. In any case, these realities that exist, they must exist. On the other hand, در عین اینکه ضروری الوجود و واجب است، این ضرورت و وجوب را مدیون علت است. is in debt to the cause. Has taken this from the cause. This insan who exists, or this flower that exists outside, where was it 100 years ago? So it shows that existence doesn't come from itself or himself, cannot be self-caused. So something has given this existence to it, although now that it exists, it exists. این ضرورت و وجوب را مدیون علت است. Owes this necessity is owed to cause. به این معنا که عین ایجاب علت است. ضروره has two sides, ijab and wujub. If you remember in the formula, my favorite, formula, philosophers say al-mahiyatu amkanat, or if you want to go one step even further, al-mahiyatu taqarrarat fa-amkanat fa-ihtajat fa-ujibat fa-wajabat fa-ujidat fa-wujidat. Okay, we had this for mahiyya. So this existence has received zarura, necessity, from cause. Ijab and wujub are two sides of the same coin, although one is prior to the other. Ujibat fawajabat. But this is not in time. This is just mind. Cause necessitates and the effect is necessary. So wujub and ijab are two sides of the same coin. به این معنا که عین ایجاب علت است. پس همان گونه که موجودی است که عیناً همان خود ایجاد علت است، نه اینکه حاصل از ایجاد علت باشد. The same thing that illa is originating and bringing to existence is this ma'lul, is this effect. واجبی است که عیناً همان خود ایجاب علت است، نه اینکه حاصل از ایجاب علت باشد. This reality is the same as what illa is necessitating, not that illa necessitates and then something else comes. You cannot separate that. As I said, they are two sides of the same coin. خب, Alhamdulillah, with this we managed to finish the discussion about asalatul wujud. So in the first session on this chapter 3, we talked about the meaning of asalatul wujud, a little bit about history of asalatul wujud, and we said that although of course Mir Damad seems that he has raised this issue, but the main person who raised it as a philosophical issue and discussed it and tried to build his system on asalatul wujud was Mulla Sadra. And Mulla Sadra has different arguments. We mentioned one argument in the last session. Then we talked about واسطه در ثبوت، واسطه در عروض, how something can play a role in bringing to existence or in attribution. And then in the second session of chapter 3, we talked about kulli tabi'i, the difference between philosophers before Mulla Sadra, especially Ibn Sina, and Mulla Sadra himself, how they thought that kulli tabi'i exists outside as mahiyat la bishart maqsami, but Mulla Sadra disagreed. And then finally we talked about Mulla Sadra rearranging the argument for need of effect for the cause. Illatu hajat al-mumkine or ma'lule illa al-illa. Previously, great philosophers, they had this idea that imkan zati is the reason, means intellectual reason. When we say mahiya illatu haja, it is illa is intellectual illa. But Mulla Sadra says, based on asalatul wujud, we should explain it according to existential poverty. Or if you want to use امکان, you can say امکان وجودی, not امکان ماهوی, existential contingency. And إلا gives necessity to معلول, but معلول is entirely dependent on إلا. Not that معلول becomes necessary and then doesn't need إلا. This necessity is the other side of the coin, and the first side is necessitating. And these two are very much coming together. خب, Alhamdulillah, we finished this chapter 3. As you can maybe guess, especially, if you remember in Bidayatul Hikmah, one of the things that can be built upon Asalatul Wujud is Tashkik Wujud. Inshallah, we want to explain how multiplicity or kathra can be explained. Is the reality one or different? Some people believe that haqa'iq are mutabayina, and therefore they had hard time to explain unity. And those who said, it's haqiqa wahida, they have hard time to explain diversity. So they wondered, whether they should focus more on the unity or diversity. But Mulla Sadra says is unity at the same time diversity because of wujud. Wujud is the same, but also wujud itself has different degrees. ما به الامتياز يرجع إلى ما به الاشتراك, and ما به الاشتراك يرجع إلى ما به. What is common is also what is uncommon. What is uncommon is what is common. Just the difference is between aslul wujud and darajatul wujud. Inshallah, bi'iznillah, we will discuss this in the next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. If you have any questions, any comments, we can inshallah address them. You are welcome. Is there any question? No question?
No, thank you.
Okay. خدا حافظ. التماس دعا.